Break time. Got Zeus here with me. Everybody. Tea and cookies. Last live stream, somebody gave me $5 for cookies, so had to buy them. I'm just taking a quick break. Lots going on. And I've had a lot of comments come through. I haven't really been able to get to everybody's comment because there are a lot of comments. So I'm trying. I'm genuinely trying. But it's only so many hours in the day. But I will. So for anybody that's wondering about why I haven't written back or answered a question, it's just time. I see them. I read them. Come on, Boot. Went inside, made a cup of tea real quick, grabbed some cookies. Okay, let's have a seat real fast. There he is. He's waiting for cookies. But they're not his cookies. They're mine. You ever seen a better statue on the planet? Watch. You guys can see his eyeballs. No, you're not having any cookies. Just sit there and stay. Poor Zeus. He thought he'd get a cookie, but he's not. Oh, couple. Hi, Gary and Maureen. Hey, David. Yes, this is break time for me. He'd pass a DUI. He certainly would. So, I had a few interesting questions that have been. Hi, Carla. Hopefully, I catch the comments that come in. If I don't, I'm sorry. We had a missing person recently. A 72-year-old guy. The plane sort of reminded us of a plane flying overhead. Reminded me of this guy that had he's older, 72 years old, supposedly had maybe some dementia, and he's went missing on one of the local trails here. So a whole bunch of horse people even went out on their horses and tried to ride the trails to see if they could find this guy. But it's been, I think, 5 or 6 days now. There was a couple planes out, and the police helicopter was flying overhead because it was just a little ways that way. No, wait, that way, kind of idea. Is that right? No, definitely that way. And sadly, they haven't found him yet, so I suspect that he hasn't made it, which is super sad, but I don't know. Tried looking around. We actually took a little walk, but it's so. I mean, they've already got search and rescue out. They had the police out. I'm sure they had dogs. People who went out with horses. So, with any luck, he's just somebody's house for some reason or something. You know, who knows? Anyway, so it's a big deal. It's been in the news a lot, so it's been on everybody's mind. Maple Ridge isn't a very huge city of any sorts. It's actually a pretty reasonably close community. Not small, but small enough that everybody kind of knows, you know. So, you know. Okay, a few, getting on to lighter things. A few questions that I thought I'd answer while I was taking a break. I'm very busy out back, actually. Got a lot of bits and pieces to rebuild. We had a lot of rain. We had that wind. Tree guys are coming tomorrow to take down the tree. It's just a good boy. So while I'm taking a break after cleaning up and doing all that stuff, Steph says, praying for him and the family. Yeah, absolutely. It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, it's not like people don't go missing all over the planet. I guess it's just because it's in the community. So many people have tried to help out. It's fantastic. I got to admit, actually, I've got high hopes for the human race when I see stuff that is so positive. Luckily, this one has the case on it. The one that's on there, it has no case yet. Because they make phones just a little bit different size every year. So your original case doesn't fit. All right. I think I saw somebody. Zeus, what are you doing? He's trying to find a piece of wood to chew on, I guess. Okay, Carla's got to go. Bye, Carla. Shelpin. What is the new horse in for? Training just to chill? Yep, totally just to chill. New horse is in for boarding. I think I can say, but the last place he was at, they weren't very good at taking care of him. So the owner was really worried. He said, can you take him till I can find a new place? Because it's hard to find a good place. One of the subjects I actually get asked to talk about regularly is feeding horses. Now, you guys know, if you're a regular viewer here, if you're not, well, here's some information, but regular viewer here, you know that the horses here always have hay. They never run out. I mean, it's rare. If they do, it's a couple hours or something like that, 2 or 3 hours. But for the most part, they've always got hay to nibble on. And but it's not that well practiced. There's still a lot of places that feed 2 flakes in the morning and 2 flakes at night kind of thing. So he came from a place that they fed far more often to that place where it was rationed 2 flakes in the morning, 2 flakes at night, which again isn't very uncommon. No hay nets, so essentially a couple of flakes gets gulped down very, very quickly. And then say that's 6 in the morning and the next feeding doesn't come till 6 at night. So generally there's about 6 to 8 hours where the horse doesn't have anything running through its system. So objectively we can prove that, because when he arrived here, he had pooped once in the trailer, and then finally 5 hours later he pooped again. Now 5 hours is a very long time. Most horses will go once an hour or so, somewhere around there, if fed regularly. Once every 2 hours at most, kind of thing. 5 hours is a very, very long time. So objectively, we were able to show that. So she's quite happy. He's now up to almost once an hour. So it's good for him. So yeah, he's here for some boarding until his owner can find a nice place to go to that's closer to her, because she lives a little ways away. Okay, questions about mostly the water tank. I've cleaned it out. I bleached it, cleaned it out, rinsed it out. So it's almost ready. Actually, I emptied it. I need to rinse it out. And so once it's rinsed out, it'll be ready to go into service, which will not happen until winter time when it's cold. Now, a lot of people ask me how I was going to lift it in when there's water in and stuff like that. Well, the plan is never to have any water in it when I've got to lift it up. But I was thinking about building some kind of winch pulley system or a lever system that allows me to sort of just lift it straight up, drive the gate underneath, drop it back down. But empty, I can lift it no problem. I'm not too worried about that. So there won't be any water in it when I'm lifting it and stuff because water is very heavy. Every liter of water is a kilogram. So every liter of water is, what's a kilogram? 2.2 pounds or something like that. So it holds 1,000 liters. So, you know, a little over 2,000 pounds if it's full. The gator will never hold that. So there's a second question that came in a lot. Is your gator going to hold that? And the answer is, I don't believe so. I think I would end up crushing it. 2,000 liters is too much. Or 1,000 liters, 2,000 pounds is too much. So I really only plan to fill it up about a third. And from there, um, do the waters. Um, so a lot of people had some really nice things to say about that. I think only one person kind of said something negative, and like, okay. But everybody's kind of worried whether or not I'd crush the gator. I actually don't know what the load rating is for the gator. We filled up with sand and gravel and all kinds of materials to fix paddocks or fix the arena or to build paddocks. You guys have seen the paddock build videos. Anyways, so let's see. Okay, I had another question. Somebody asked me to talk about how much can you weigh to ride a horse. Somebody else had recently talked about it, and she says, well, maybe you could do the same kind of video, talk about people being too heavy. And I thought, well, all right. The general rule is something like 20%. So if your horse weighs the average of 1,000 pounds, you can be up to 200 pounds to ride a horse. I've explained it before, but I actually have no idea where the video is, so I'm going to see if I can't. I might make something dedicated, but I thought I'd answer quickly here in case anybody's watching for that. 20% is fine-ish, they found. But the caveat to that is whether or not the person who is riding has any athletic ability. The higher athletic ability you have, the more you can weigh. So 20% may be about the maximum. 20, I mean, some people say you can get away with 25%, but 250 pounds on 1,000 pound, I don't know. That's just, no. I think it would be a lot. I think it'd be a lot. So if we go with 20% being something about the maximum, a 200-pound person on a 1,000-pound horse, for this example, somebody who's non-athletic, I think it would be unfair to the horse. Horses move around a lot, so when you're riding, it's like being on a boat and you're rocking in the waves kind of thing, and without proper balance, two things can happen. One, you just be off balance and then kind of bob around in the boat kind of thing, but two, you really tire yourself out. And so same thing on a horse. If you have good balance, you can kind of go with the horse and not fight the horse, then I think 20% is just fine. You might even be able to go a little above that kind of thing if you're quite athletic and you have good balance and you have a good sense of motion. So, but if you don't, I think it should go way down. I think it should be down to around 15%. I've seen heavier people who have no balance, or next to no balance, riding a horse, and I recall this one lady that she really wanted to. She really wanted to get riding. She really wanted to ride her horse. She really wanted to make it work, but she wasn't exercising. She's a little bit older, and so it's a little bit harder for her, and the horse suffered for it. You could tell the horse was very uncomfortable, very kind about it though, didn't buck or do anything bad, but I would say she was probably about at that 20% range. And I just thought, if you're athletic, then yes. If you're not, then I think either a bigger horse or somehow bring down your weight. And you have to also consider the weight of the saddle as well. If you're using a bigger saddle and stuff like that, you could add up to 35 pounds worth of weight just for the saddle alone. She didn't. It was a smaller saddle, later saddle, so it was different. But that's just one example. And of course, there's plenty of pictures and video there that I'm sure this other person was talking about. But it's something to definitely keep in mind. So 15 to 20% based on your athletic ability would be my answer for that. Um, what else did I get in? I had a few good questions. Oh, we were all talking about what Rue is, what kind of horse he is. I had a lot of people say possible he's a Mustang, some kind of quarter horse Mustang maybe or something like that, but we don't actually know. It was an interesting bunch of guesses. Everybody likes him though, so that's nice. Yep, and that he's a cow. Yeah. What time are we at? Okay, I've only given myself 20 minutes for this conversation, but I should have organized these a little bit better. Feet. Oh yes. Okay, so actually I wanted to cover this one because it's important. So a lot of people talk to me about feet trimming, and one of the questions that came in, which is a really good one, says, "Do you send so you trim Sky and he's left, and do you send the owner on her way with a bunch of information or teach anything or whatever about how you've trimmed or what you look for and stuff like that?" And the question was an interesting one because every once in a while you'll see these. What are you doing? Just coughing up something. And so you'll see these shirts that it's a farrier's price list, and to shoe the horse or trim the horse is whatever. If you're going to stand around, it's another $20. If you're going to ask me questions, it's another $20. If you're going to want to help, it's another $50 or something like that. So essentially the shirt is about I'm pretty sure it's kind of joking because I don't know if I know of any farriers that are really resistant to having people around. What's this guy doing? Zeus, what are you doing? I don't know. We do have a mole that lives somewhere in here. So anyway, so I haven't seen a lot that are really resistant to that, but the answer I gave was absolutely. I always, if I trim a horse when the owner's not around, I always send one or both of pictures, description of what I saw and what I did. So I either send both pictures and a description or just a description. I won't generally send just pictures. So for Sky, obviously I took a video of the whole event, so she's able to check back on that and see how it went. So but for the most part, owners are there. A lot of people have a lot of questions while I'm trimming, and if they don't have questions and I notice anything, in fact, plenty of my clients now understand that if I stop talking, it means I'm concentrating or thinking on something, and they will proactively say, "So what's wrong?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm trying to decide what to do about blah blah blah, whatever it may be." So I try to have the owners around for trimming. Some of them can't be, so then I send a big description. But I think it's great that people are proactively trying to be part of their horse's care in that regard. Hooves are uh, there's a lot to understand, and I'm sure that some of the things I talk about just go in one ear and out the other and stuff. But if I say them enough times, I'm hoping that it'll stick a little bit here and there. So yeah, for the most part, I try to always have whether they're here, whether I'm out trimming or something like that, I always sort of package up all the information that I've got, and I say, this is how it is, and this is what I saw, and this is what I think. I'll give a conclusion about it and make sure that they walk away understanding how and what and where and why and all that kind of stuff of what I've done. So it's a great question, and I think that it should be the bar, it should be the standard. If you have anything less than that, I think it's unacceptable, but that's just me. And that is shown in the people that I hire to take care of my horses. For example, the veterinarian that was here. I don't stop talking when he's around. I don't stop asking questions. I don't stop trying to do something and get involved. Essentially just a dirty shirt kind of thing. And he likes it. He's like me. He says, this is great. I like that you're really involved. What do you want to do? What can I teach you? And I got piles of video out of it, so I'm really excited to show you guys that stuff and explain stuff about teeth because we don't get that opportunity very often. Annual inspections and floating is good. I'd left mine a little bit long. They were all fine for it, but should have been done a little earlier. So those are things that we'll be talking about for teeth and for things to look for, things that you can look for, um, what they mean, stuff like that. So should be pretty interesting. So just like feet, he or when I deal with feet with my clients, he deals the same way with me and probably his other clients as well. I expect to cover the materials that are important, good things for owners to know, to what you can play around with yourself or check out yourself, sort of as a layman, not as a professional in that regard. So, anyways, hopefully that's kind of interesting. My 20 minutes are up, unless you guys have something really quickly for me to answer. Oh my goodness. What do you mean, what's up with Zeus? He is waiting for his cookie. See, I've still got cookies here, but it's got chocolate in it, so he can't have it. Chocolate. No, you can't have chocolate, Zeus. I don't know if I have any normal dog cookies. It's hard to read the camera, so I'm going to read from here. So it looks like you guys have a few questions for me. You guys can stare at Zeus for a second, and let me just see here. Oh, thanks, David. Thanks, David, for the reminder. Kathy, I'm going to work my way up the comments. I don't know if you guys can stare at Zeus. Kathy says, if you see bad Farrier work from before, how do you handle warning owners? Funny thing is, Kathy, usually owners have already seen it and call me, saying that they feel like something's off, they feel like something's wrong, they don't like the way things are being done, and they call me and say, can you come take a look? And then I'll come in and I'll make some observations, and they'll say, I knew it, So I tell a lot of people, I say, there's a lot of times you can trust your instincts, not always, but there's a lot of times where you can say, well, this doesn't seem right. What's happening? So, how do I handle warning owners? So I would imagine you're probably thinking about the ones that aren't calling me. And I wander around to some barn and I see some crappy hoof work done. I don't say a thing. I don't say anything. I used to, I don't anymore. The reason is it's none of my business. That's the best way to put it. It's not my place. Unless asked, I just don't make it my place to say anything. Maybe one of their friends will come to me and they'll say, oh my goodness, look at those feet, I can't believe it, and I'll comment with them. I'll say, well, I noticed that there's an imbalance left to right, or I've noticed that the heels are really run under, if you notice, and I'll talk about the science of it, the observations we can make that are objective science, rather than an opinion on that person's not caring for their horse or that person's not doing a good job. Sort of like an attack on the person, I think, is very destructive. There's no good, that's a bad farrier, or that farrier doesn't know what he's doing, or something like that. Those are useless things to say. In fact, I find that they are backwards things to say. They don't lead to a forward sort of motion in energy or feeling, whatever we want to put it. So if anybody does sort of approach me about their friend's horse or something like that, and they want a way to talk to their friend somehow, I'll say, well, you could point out the fact that the nail holes that are in there are rotting. They're black, so it means that there is, probably some necrotic tissue. It was probably bleeding before. If it's a big crack, I'll say, this is how physics works for cracks. The way it's being dealt with is backwards. It's actually making it worse, and this is why that happens. And it usually gives people's friends a little bit of a tool to talk to their friend without being as rough as they feel, because horse care or child care or dog care or whatever is one of those things that you can get very emotional about, worked up, but it doesn't have a good purpose. Um, I don't think it's good to sort of bash and place that's bad or something like that. Uh, Jumping on that bandwagon or roller coaster is usually doesn't take you anywhere much. So that's what I would probably do. But I don't say anything to people that aren't asking. Um, so just mind my own business. Madison always makes my inner scientist happy when you talk about the physics things like hoof cracks and other stuff. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I love physics. I hated physics when I was in school. I hated math. I hated science. Well, I liked kind of science, but I was terrible at it. It was too hard. And then slowly but surely, I was like, oh, science is really cool. I really like, you know. And then when you really have to figure things out, you have to. For everything that I try to do, I am trying to uh, make things repeatable, so they're provable. You can't have a there's no you can't prove a hypothesis without being able to have repeatable evidence, strong evidence, objective evidence of why and how something happens. So that becomes sort of the backbone of the idea of talking to people about problems with problems with horses. Look at this guy. Yes? How can I help you today? What? Did you find the mole? Where's the mole? Where's the mouse? You like the word mouse. Where's the mouse? I don't have a mouse. No, I don't have a mouse. Okay. I do have cookies, but they're mine. Mine. Okay, moving on. So, yeah, I love science as well, so I'm glad you like science. Ida's here. Hello, Ida. Oh, Maureen, cookies for Zeus. Got it. I buy those today. Maureen bought you cookies. You should say thank you. Mm-hmm. Lucky dog. Yeah. Okay, that's enough about the dog. Moving on. Yeah, let's see if we have any more. Zeus has some expressive eyes. He's certainly okay. Moving back up. Kathy says I'm often asked to be a second opinion person, and it can be tricky. Yes. I usually try to start off with almost a caveat, like I don't want to step on anybody's toes, or I'm not here to talk about what was done. I'm only here to talk objectively about what I see. So again, when you bring a scientific set of materials and facts to the table, rather than an opinion of that's bad or that's wrong, or subjective words are useless in this case, other than jumping on the bandwagon of ranting. Tea's getting cold. See, I've been on here too long. 30 minutes. I gotta get to work. Okay, Rebecca's here. Hi, Rebecca from Las Vegas. Ruli has a unique face, looks like an Appaloosa. Brenda, she is an Appaloosa. Good guess. Brenda also says Gracie is so mellow now. She's my idol. Such a proud breed. You bring it out in. You are Mr. Rogers of the horse world. I actually, I would take that as a big compliment. I have a lot of regard for Mr. Rogers. Who, they've done a couple of documentaries on. One was one just about him, and another one was with Tom Hanks. I haven't seen that yet. But the other one that was on, I think it was on Netflix for a bit, That's an emotional story. That's a really emotional story, and he brought so much good while having his own. Yeah, I think Zeus likes Mr. Rogers as well. Look at him. Look how close he is now. Don't mind that cookie on the table. No, don't mind the cookie. Nah, my buddy. Anyhow, look, I've got working hands. Ugh, working hard. So, anyhow, so yes, thank you. I take that as a very big compliment. Very cool person. Yeah. So thanks, Shelton. For the boarders, do their owners come to ride them? If so, how often? Or do you ride them sometimes? I'll ride their horses if they ask me to. Every boarder that's come here says you're more than welcome to play with my horse or use them in a lesson or something like that. So I don't tend to though. And the owners do show up. It's variable. There's no set schedule. Some more than others kind of thing. Some less than others. Dagmar's here from Germany. Hello. Olives is driving, so she's just gonna listen. Cool. Carla had to go. Oh, that's it for questions. That's good. Margaret's here from upstate New York. Ida says Mr. Rogers' story is remarkable. Yeah, I mean, holy smokes, that guy did so much. Yes, Zeus is still here. He's just chilling out. Hey, buddy. Yeah, fantastic work that he did with kids. I have a lot of respect for people that work really, really well with children. And he was, if you watch any of his original footage, not the Tom Hanks stuff, but the original footage that was taken sort of off to the side, not from the main cameras kind of thing, everything he did with kids was, it felt like 120 or 150% of him was dedicated to feeling and understanding what they were thinking or feeling. I mean, he had some disabled kids in, he had all colors of kids in. It was a remarkable bunch of stuff he did. So Margaret's here. Hello, Margaret. Asking because it's really hard to find a horse to lease in your area. Yeah, leasing is interesting. You get to use a horse without owning it, without having to worry about all the things that come with it. Obviously, like vet bills and stuff like that. Somebody else. It's like renting a car, right? You don't have to worry about it. It's like, okay, it's a great example actually for me. Is I rent the excavator machine. So the excavator machine shows up. I run the crap out of it kind of thing, dig as much as I want, push some stuff around, and then just chuck it back at them. And they got to fix it and clean and wash and take care of it and manage the tracks and oil and engine. And so very convenient because I don't want to buy one. I don't want the expense of that, but I need to be able to use it. So horses are great for that as well. If they're good horses, you can lease them. Doesn't mean that you treat them rough or anything like that, but the ability to use the horse without having to have the whole thing. But then on the flip side of it that I kind of look at as well is that when you have your own horse, you're off. Bye, Zeus. He's off. He's got an adventure to go on. What is it, buddy? Must have heard something. Do you need to go somewhere? No? I don't know what you want. I don't know what he wants. Yeah. But, oh yes, that's what I was saying. When you own a horse, you can really build a fantastic relationship. Or if you lease and you're around a lot, like I always teach my students, especially with any of the horses here. You know, um, you can maybe get a little bit of good, but unless you have that relationship established really well, then in places it'll start to fall apart. So it takes time. So sometimes leasing can be a little bit harder on the human more than maybe the horse, depending, I suppose. Okay, ML Calhoun is here. Hello. Seems to have a question. It's been a while. Cool to see Zeus. Yeah. Is your property well dependent or public service connected? Oh, no, not on well water here. Definitely city water. And funny thing, actually, about that is when I was searching for a place to buy, I had specifically told my realtor, I said, I don't want a place that has well water. For a few reasons. One, it's a pain. You've got to filter it, you've got to worry about your pipes, you've got to worry about the pump, you've got to worry about too many things in that regard. Two, obviously, it could run out of water, especially when you've got horses. And you can't really run out of water. Then you got to truck water in and stuff like that. You know, in the summertime. Any other time is usually fine. In the summertime, there might be a couple of months where you won't have any water. You got to wait for your tank to fill up, and then yeah. So I knew I didn't want well water. So it sort of limited me a bit. There are some absolutely beautiful places that have they're on well water, not city water. But I knew that in the long term, I definitely wanted a place that had city water. So this place has city water, unending amount of water if I want, clean, because we have terrific water here in British Columbia, absolutely amazing water. Um, so it's good. Margaret says, "What's your favorite breed and why?" I guess when I start to think of personalities of my own horses, and I think, well, do I like one of those breeds? I start to think I don't really care much. Um, but then my brain goes back to what I wish I could be working more with, which is Mustangs. So I like the look of a Mustang. I like the build of a Mustang. I like the mind of a Mustang quite a bit. I've worked with a few now, and it's distracting. You're distracting me. It's hard to concentrate when you just sit there and stare at me. Yeah. I don't know what we need to do. What do we need to do? I don't know what you want. What do you want? What can I help you with? He's an odd dog sometimes. But you get cookies today. I'll buy him some cookies. So Mustang, I guess. Favorite, just due to the fact of how just really cool they are. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. I like their mind. So. Zeus is definitely talking to me. Yes, Ida. I think he is. He's got something to say. Anyhow, I got to get on with things. I really was only going to do 20 minutes. I've done double that time. Thanks for the extra questions here. I was going to answer a few questions. I got those done. My tea is mostly done. Cold at the end, so I'll probably leave it. And back to work. But I'll see you guys pretty soon. We'll talk about dental stuff, more hoof stuff, training. Oh, one more question. Rebecca says, you don't use bits. Do you still put shoes on your horses? If so, why? Just wondering. And then ML Calhoun says you're worried about deciding on a property in Antelope Valley. I don't even know where that is. Where is that? I'll answer Rebecca's question really quickly because it's an easy one. Nope, I don't put shoes on any of my horses. I actually take shoes off of horses more often than not. And then as for bits, it is very, very unusual for me to use a bit. I don't feel like I need to. Most of the reasons that I've heard, I have no need for. The most common reason I hear is that if you don't use a bit, you don't have brakes on your horse. I don't have any trouble with that. As you guys probably seen, if you were to look back, you would see the video I did to ride a horse with a piece of twine. And that was Lena, and I simply had her in a halter, and I had no issue uh, having control. And so I kind of think if I don't have any problem doing it, something like that, then what do I need a bit? So nobody has convinced me that I need a bit for anything yet. It's not that I'm not open to the idea, but for my purposes, I have no use for it. Um, and I have found through objective um, testing, I guess you'd call it, that any horse that I've ever been with or on has always seemed to feel better and more comfortable without anything inside of their mouth. And they ride just fine for me. So for me, nope, shoes, no way. I have no need for those either. And I also, again, know plenty of science of why I wouldn't want to use shoes. It doesn't mean it's for everybody or every horse, so I'm not trying to push an agenda whatsoever, but those are my needs and wants, and so far so good. So, yes, California, water is a big issue there. Yeah, yeah, it's a big deal. Well water is especially a big deal because the water table there is dropping like a rock, so I'd be cautious of that as well. So, for whatever that's worth, if you got horses, I'd be cautious, yeah. Okay, I'm going to end that there, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking in and joining me on a little tea and cookie break with Zeus and I. All right, buddy? He's still here. All right? What are you doing? What do you want to do? Should we go find the bear? Where is it? Where's the bear? Where is the bear? Get off of the table. You tricked me. You tricked me. Okay, guys. See you guys again later or tomorrow. All right. Bye for now.